Hi everyone, in today's lesson we're going to talk about an advanced factoring technique called factoring by U substitution. So before I can actually show you some factoring, we need to recall exponent rules. When we are raising a power to a power, the rule says that we have to multiply the exponents. Don't forget that. So, for example, this first one, if I have x squared squared, we multiply the 2 and the 2, and we get x to the 4th. The second one, we multiply the 2 and the 3, we get x to the 6th. And the third one, we multiply the 4 and the 2, and we get 8. So we must keep that in mind that when we're raising a power to a power, we multiply the exponents. So, directions here say factor each expression using guess and test. Now, I didn't necessarily teach guess and test, so we're going to factor them using the AC method. So we go from here, and then this one we multiply this one and this one. So we're going to take a couple seconds, and I actually only want you to factor this first one, just because purposes of time, I don't think I'm going to get to go over this one. But after I do this one and explain the connection to U substitution, and you want to do this one, by all means, you can do that on your own time. All right, so factor this first one, and then hit resume when you're ready for the answer. So we'll go ahead and make this, keep down the x to the 4th, bring down the 12, and the factors of 12x to the 4th that added to this negative 7x squared are negative 3x squared and negative 4x squared. So I'm going to go ahead and fill the middle with negative 3x squared and negative 4x squared. And after factor by grouping, I group the first two, group the second two, and bring down the sign in the middle. The GCF of the first two is x squared, and I'm left with x squared minus 3. The GCF of the second two terms is 4, and I'm left with x squared minus 3. And then x squared minus 3 is my GCF with x squared minus 4. And then I can go ahead and say, all right, this is factored by dots again. So I can go ahead and make this x squared minus 3. And then the dots will become x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay, so now I want to factor each expression using a factoring method called U substitution. So this is the same example as we did before, and I'm going to show you how we can use another method to solve. So using those exponent rules, I could technically rewrite x to the 4th as x squared squared, and then minus 7x squared plus 12. So what you should notice is that this x squared is now the same as this x squared. So we can use a process called U substitution to simplify. So first step is to let U equal what's the same. And in this case, the x squared is the same. So we're going to let this be U and this be U. And then the second step is going to be to rewrite the expression using U. So we can make this U squared minus 7U plus 12. So U squared minus 7U plus 12. Now step 3 will be to factor the expression using U. And how we would do that is same thing as we did before. We would use the AC method. So this times this is 12, U to the 3rd. And we want to find those U squared. We want to find those factors that add to negative 7U. So we'll bring down the first term, which is U squared. We'll bring down the 12, and we'll find the factors that add. So I'm just going to do them real quick. It should be negative 3U and negative 4U. And we'll factor by grouping. Group the first two, group the second two, and bring down the sign in the middle. The GCF of the first two terms is U, and we're left with U minus 3. GCF of the second term is negative 4, and we're left with U minus 3. U minus 3 is my GCF, and I'm left with U minus 4. So I've factored the expression using u, and now the last step is to plug u back in and to simplify. So plug u back in and simplify. So if u is here and here, and I let u equal this x squared in the beginning, I can go ahead and make u x squared, so x squared minus 3, and x squared minus 4. And we can remember that x squared minus 4 is dots, so x minus 2 and x plus 2 would be those simplified factors. So notice that this should be the exact same answer that we got before, just another method. Now, it's obvious. U substitution is not probably the best way that we want to factor something like this, but I wanted to show you that it was possible with simple basic answers before we get to the hard ones. So, like this. Here we have no choice but to use U substitution. So the first step is to let U equal the stuff that's the same, or the stuff that's in the parentheses here. So this x minus 2 is the same as that x minus 2 is the same. So step 1, let U equal the stuff that's the same in the parentheses. Okay, so this is your U and this is your U. So we rewrite it using u. So u squared minus 5u, right? So u squared minus 5u minus 6. So that's step 2. Rewrite with u. Step 3 is to factor with u. So we can go ahead and do that, right? We can multiply our first and our last, and we get negative 6u squared. And we want to find the factors of negative 6u squared that add to negative 5. So you should be thinking negative 6u and positive 1u. So we can go ahead and factor by grouping. So we're going to bring down my u squared, bring down my negative 6, and fill the middle with the factors that add to negative 5. Factor by grouping tells me I can group the first two, group the second two, and bring down the sign in the middle. The GCF of the first two terms is u, and I'm left with u minus 6. The GCF of the second two terms is just 1, and I'm left with u minus 6. So u minus 6 times u plus 1. Then the next step is to plug u back in and simplify. So by plugging u back in, the u was actually this x minus 2 and this x minus 2. So u is x minus 2, right? This part is the u that I'm plugging in. And x minus 2 here. And I can bring down everything else, minus 6 and plus 1. And then I can go ahead and simplify. This negative 2 and negative 6 can be added. This negative 2 and positive 1 can be added. So x minus 8 and then x minus 1. And that is your simplified answer. And we actually could not get here without doing U substitution. So this is where it's actually necessary. So go ahead and try the second one right here, this guy. Try this one on your own and then hit resume when you're ready for the answer. Okay, so you should have let U equal the stuff that was inside the parentheses or the stuff that was the same. So I rewrite it using u. So u squared, right? This is u and this is u. So u squared minus 2u plus 1. And then I'm going to factor by grouping. So I'm going to group the first two, or I'm sorry, AC. So this should be u squared. So I want the factors of 1u. So 1u and 1u. And then negative 1u and negative 1u. And that actually is going to be the pair that adds to negative 2u. So I'm going to bring down the first term, bring down the last term, and fill the middle with the pair that adds. Factor by grouping. Group the first two, group the second two, bring down the middle sign. The GCF of the first two is u, and we're left with u minus 1. The GCF of the second two is a negative 1, and I'm left with u minus 1. And then u minus 1 is my common factor, and I'm left with another u minus 1. So after I've factored, all I have to do is plug u back in to here, and then simplify. So my u was x, whoops, sorry about that. So my u was x plus 3. I take away 1, x plus 3, and then I take away 1. And we should notice that these are my like terms. So all I have to do is simplify, and you should have gotten x plus 2 and x plus 2. Final answer. Okay, so I'm going to do this problem with you, and then I'm going to ask you guys to try this one on your own. So same kind of concept. We're going to let u equal the stuff that's inside the parentheses. So this is what u is. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a u there and a u here. And I'm going to rewrite it using u's. So u squared minus 8u plus 12. We're going to factor by AC. So we're going to multiply the first and the last. So I get 12u squared. And the factors of 12 that are going to add to negative 8 are negative 6u and negative 2u. So I'm going to go ahead and bring down my first term, bring down my last term, and fill the middle with the pairs that add to negative 8. Group the first two, group the second two, and bring down the minus. GCF of the first two is u. I'm left with u minus 6. GCF of the second two is negative 2, and I'm left with u minus 6. U minus 6 is my GCF, and I'm left with u minus 2. So then, as we did before, we have to plug u back in. So if this is u, and this original value was u, we're going to just make it x squared minus x, x squared minus x, and then we're going to bring down everything else. So I'll bring down the minus 6 and the minus 2. So we always want to simplify, but take a look here. This is a trinomial and this is a trinomial. So can't we simplify this a little bit more by factoring? So I'd actually like you to do that. Take a minute, pause the video, and factor these two expressions using AC, and then hit resume for the answer. Okay, so your answer should have been x minus 3 and x plus 2. And then your answer over here should have been x minus 2 and x plus 1. So this one was actually a product of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 linear factors. I know this one's a lot of factoring, but we'll just take it slow and then we'll get the right answer. So take a minute and try this one, this last one here on your own, and then hit resume when you're ready for the answer. All right, take a look at the work. Here it is. All right, if you have any questions, please take a moment and jot them down and ask us in class tomorrow. All right, have a good night.